Good morning. How is everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. It's another week. It's a Monday morning. Yeehaw, right? Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did. It was very busy. Let me adjust my camera real quick for the TikTokers here. Did I get it? There it goes. Okay, good. All right, very good. Yeah, so hope everybody had a great weekend. It's Monday. It's another day. I don't know what the weather's like where you are. We kind of got a storm, I think, maybe blowing in, or at least I know for sure rain. I don't know if it's going to be a storm. It's I guess it's still technically spring as well. So we'll see. It's spring weather. It's unpredictable. I do know a lot of bad weather, a lot of tornadoes and stuff happened north in like Indiana, into Indiana and Illinois and things like that. So prayers with you guys up there. Hope everybody is okay. Seemed like I was watching, I don't know if anybody else watches this, but Ryan Hall, y'all. I was watching him a little bit last night just to see what was going on with these storms. And it seemed like most of the damage was like wind related, like a lot of trees and stuff. But I do think there was some tornadoes that touched down. So I've not read the news as far as that goes this morning. Hope everyone's okay. Well, good morning. Let me just tell you a little bit, just kind of give you a little bit of an update on myself and what I did this weekend. It was a great weekend. We started off, let's see, the weekend, it was very busy. So we started off Friday. So after work, wrapped up work, then went over to some friend's house to hang out, have dinner. We have a traditional like 5K race that happens this time of year at midnight in our city, downtown in our city. And we've run it for many years. It's a really cool race. It's not a complicated race. It's a like an out and back race, 5K. So you run out 1.55 miles and you turn around and you come back to the finish. But it's downtown and it's kind of lit up. It's at midnight. It's kind of cool. So we always either have people over or go somewhere and just kind of hang out, have dinner, eat spaghetti, get carved up, all that kind of stuff. And then we go and show up and race. And we really just race it for fun. I said we run, not race. I mean, we just have fun. So we did that Friday night. That was a lot of fun. Friday night into Saturday morning. Got home around 2:30, probably at home around 2 a.m. and slept, and then woke up. My wife spent a little bit of time prepping some stuff for a couple things we had going on Saturday, one being my son's girlfriend's graduation party. So we went and kind of helped set up, tear down that, and just be there for that. And that was a great experience. All kinds of people came we knew, and kind of hung out all day Saturday doing that. Then Saturday night, went to a Sunday school fellowship gathering at one of the people's homes that are in the Sunday school class. They hosted a barbecue, burgers, and they made homemade ice cream. By the way, it was amazing. They made strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, but then also lemon sorbet. And I am not a big fruity fan. Like I like fruit, but I don't really care so much about like fruit, ice cream and fruit desserts. But out of all those ice creams, the lemon sorbet was my favorite. It was like the most refreshing thing. I guess it probably was like really hot, so it was like a frozen lemonade type thing. It was good. So it was really cool. We got to hang out, get to know some of the people in the class and that kind of stuff. It was fun. I truly enjoyed it. It was great to get to know everybody and just kind of hang out and be there. Then Sunday was Father's Day. Went to church, Sunday school class, and then church. um, all that was great. Then we were going to go out to eat, but we ended up just kind of going through, the good old fast food Culver's because we wanted to go as a family, myself, my wife, and 3 kids to see the new Toy Story 5 movie. So we did that yesterday. We went and did that in the middle of the afternoon. And let me just say this, I won't give you any spoilers at all, but Toy Story 5 was very good. I truly enjoyed it. I thought it was actually the storyline was really good. Just to kind of give you a premise, and again, I won't spoil any things, but it really, the premise was that the technology that these screens that kids kind of put in their faces takes them away from actually using their imagination and being creative and playing with toys. So that was the entire premise of the movie, was how kids are absorbed in their screens and they're not meeting their neighbor kids. They're not going out and they're not playing and they're not playing with toys. And so Toy Story told that from the perspective of the toys, obviously, like, hey, we're getting left behind because all this technology, and the technology was kind of like the bad guys and that kind of stuff. And the screens were and that kind of things. And it was really good. It just gave you a good example about what to think about as parents. If you have any kids, like, man, screens are doing exactly what they portrayed there. It isolates the kid into their own world, makes you think that you have friends because it's online, and then you negate actual true relationships. So that was what the entire story was about. And it was really, really good. I mean, I thought the storyline was really good. It wasn't full of all kinds of fluff and crazy stuff. It was literally, it honed in specifically on that point. Like, what is relationships? What is the truth of that? How does that actually work? And what's the importance of that? And how technology and all these advancements and stuff like that take us away from those type of things. And I didn't expect that. I didn't know what the story was. I did 0 trailers, reviews. I had no idea. And I love the Toy Story movies, but on this one, I didn't research anything. But I say all that just to say I recommend it. Go check it out. It's a great theater movie because it's not that it's like, theatrical and big presentation, but what's really fun about it is all the laughter and chuckling and comments and stuff you hear from kids and even the older adults that are there that have been watching this since I think it was the first one came out in 1995. So large generation of people love this movie. I love this series. So it's a theater movie. It really is. The experience is great because it's nostalgic. Everybody can relate to the characters and they just find it fun and people are laughing and that kind of stuff. So there you go. That was it. And then we came home and had my parents over and just had a great meal. My wife made dinner and dessert and we just kind of hung out and it was great. It was a really good Father's Day. Really, really good Father's Day. Hope everybody else had a good Father's Day. For those that don't have a father, prayers for you guys. But yeah, it was good. Hopefully you guys had a good one as well. All right. With all that being said, I've got a lot to go through. I got a little bit, I got too much zeal here, I think. There's too many articles that were popping up. I was like, oh, I'd like to cover that one. Oh, I'd like to cover that one. And so I ended up creating I think there's 5 or 6. I will not get through them all. You guys know that. Now I was shocked last Wednesday how much I got through. Oh, that's hot. All right. So today, let me tell you what's coming in the show. I'll give you a little bit of groundwork about what I do here, and then we'll jump into the actual show after I kind of give you an idea about what's coming, just so you can hopefully stay and watch the whole thing. If not, come back and watch it later. So I'll briefly go over just what the mortgage rate is before we jump into the show as well. We'll talk about that just as a kind of a setting the stage for the rest of the week. And I'll then close out this week with talking about the interest rate, just in case something might have changed. It's marginal at best. I've got, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 articles. I'm not going to get through them. The very first one we're going to be talking about it's titled, it's by Yahoo Finance, by MoneyWise. And these articles are just so funny to me. They're so one-noted and one-focused, and they lack so much the nuances and details about the truth. And this is the title. A New York man made an extra $90,000 by selling his home with an AI chatbot instead of a traditional real estate agent. That's the headline. And it's full of things that is just like, yeah, did he really? Because like, and we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. And then I went ahead and found another article that kind of piggybacks off this one. And this came out a while ago. This was May 27th. It says 11 reasons why AI won't replace realtors. And this is the thing that this article did not emphasize. Like, it didn't talk about these other aspects. It touched on them, but then it kind of left a lot to the imagination. And that's just not, to be honest, guys, I'm sorry. It's just not good journalism. All right. Then a brief article. It says, Make the Most of Summer, a seller prep playbook for agents and teams, by Chris Atwell. We'll go through what that is. Then how this agent grew her business 74% year over year, spending next to nothing. I focus on these two articles specifically because they match up with the way I would want to teach and train my own agents. It's you can fall into this trap where you think you have to throw more money at it. You got to advertise like the big dogs do and all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of low hanging fruit and a lot of opportunity there that is missed because you're thinking you got to spend money to make money. And that's really just not the case here. That's not what we see. Then the last two articles, one of them will be very brief. I don't have much to add to this one other than it's just kind of news. And it's about Bed Bath & Beyond and Fathom Realty and them combining and what that is. It's kind of like a merger acquisition, but it's odd. I guess we'll see what happens, but we'll talk about that. I doubt I'm going to get to this one, and that's why I put it at the end, just because I'm tired of talking about it. But it was an article that kind of came out June 17th, and I didn't cover it last week. Again, I'm trying to avoid these topics because it's just got so redundant, and I'm waiting for some of the dust to settle to figure out what's happened. It's if Zillow sets the rules, agents and consumers lose more than choice. So it's that whole Zillow consumer versus Compass and MLSs and all that kind of stuff. If we get there, great. If not, no worries. All right. With all that being said, this show, what I do is I do news. I go through real estate specific news, and I kind of dissect it, give you my observations, kind of what it looks like, what I might see just from my experience. People are welcome to disagree with me, push back. That's fine. I mean, it's a show that I run. It's my opinions. It's that kind of thing. I'm just speaking from my own experience, my own logical reasoning as I read these things and as I read them day in and day out, kind of what I could see. So my goal here is to kind of help you kind of think through these things logically and how they correlate into your business and how you can take this and apply it to your business and find opportunities. So that's what I do here. I just kind of review the news, and it's specifically made for real estate agents. But I talk to people all the time. I had that whole conversation Saturday night actually about this, that it's also beneficial for those that are not real estate agents sometimes, just because you get to see the inner workings about the way the real estate industry kind of works. And it gives you a little bit of insight as well into how agents go about their daily activities, and might help you to understand exactly how to use one more effectively. So there's a benefit here, even if you're a consumer. But I will say it is definitely more specifically aimed towards helping real estate agents. So, all right. Before we get started, let's go ahead and just talk about the interest rate. There's really not much to say about this. This is where we're sitting at. I mean, it's just as simple as this. And those on TikTok, I'll tell you exactly what it says. The 30-year fixed rate is down 0.04, okay, since last reporting. It was last updated 6/18. So since today and then 6/18. So it's went down 0.04, okay, not 0.4, but 0.04. So very little. 30-year fixed rate sits at 6.58. 15-year fixed is 6.15. So if we're above that 6.44 or 6.43 rate, you know that your FHA and VA will be sitting above 6 as well. So that means your 30-year FHA is 6.15 and 30-year VA is 6.17. So that's where the interest rates are currently. Not much movement, not much fluctuation. It's just where we're at. So it is what it is, guys. I mean, this is not going to change very much, and we have been watching this week in and week out. Very little change. So there you go. Take it for what it is. This is coming from Mortgage News Daily. Mortgage News Daily, they have an app, that kind of stuff. You can download it. I just say this too, and I say this every time. If you are a consumer watching, don't take this as if this is the rate. So when you go to a bank, this is what you're going to get. That's not how it works. Banks can have some fluctuations there and what they want to do and what the rate might be. And they have different programs and different incentives and that kind of stuff. It is still important to kind of shop around. This just gives you an idea about what the market is doing as a whole. Like it gives you kind of that benchmark. Say, oh, okay, this is roughly about where they are. I'm probably going to be within a couple pointage points of this and that kind of stuff. So take it as it is, but at least gives you a grounding. And for real estate agents, download the app because people always ask, well, what's the interest rate right now? You can just quickly open that up and see what it says. So it's handy. It's handy for that. All right, with all that being said, swig of coffee and we'll get started. Actually, I think I usually try to tell you what kind of coffee I'm drinking. I think this is Black Rifle Sasquatch. I think that's what I'm drinking today, which is like a darker roast. It's like a really dark roast, actually, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty good. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it is good. It's consistent. I tell you my favorite. Sorry, this is a bunny trail, but Pete's Master Dickerson's blend. One of my favorite coffees. I think it's just a perfectly well-balanced coffee. There's many other good ones out there, but I just really like that one. Anyway, okay, let's get started. Welcome to the Real Estate Brief. I'm Adam. Today, we're going to be cutting through the noise. We're going to get to the truth in the news. We're going to look at the data, and I'm going to give you some of my observations and where I believe you can find opportunity. So if you're ready to gain your real estate edge, let's dive into our very first story. And this first story is one very similar to what I had covered a few months ago, talking about how AI has fully helped a homeowner sell their home without the use of a real estate agent, and they are able to save all kinds of money by doing so and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's just so funny. When this kind of stuff happens, the media just kind of goes crazy with it. And the claim is that this man that sold his house bypassed traditional agents to make an extra $90,000 on his home using just an AI chatbot. Okay? So I just always laugh because, like, when you start reading this, you're like, did he actually do this all on his own and just AI? Not entirely, right? And just like the last story I ran, there'll probably be a follow-up story to this one where agents were all involved. As a matter of fact, he already kind of hints at that in this article. So I just find it interesting. Because the other one that ran like this, the other person that claimed the exact same thing, ended up admitting because the realtor involved ended up making a blog post, and that kind of went a little bit viral because that agent said, yeah, they didn't have an agent. I represented the buyer, and then I ended up representing the seller also. And it was like I was the middleman between the whole entire transaction. And they kept asking me questions. The seller kept asking me questions and needing me and my local advice and my local expertise, So you're going to see that. And so this is, to be honest, it's like, okay, they're making this statement and this claim. But then as you read, think through this, the facts are not really following what the headline says. And there's reasons for this. Like there's logical, easily to understand explanations on why the headline is not the entire story. And this is just the case with headlines in general. You can't stop there. You got to really read. And a lot of times you got to read past the first couple paragraphs even. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay. So let's get into this article here. Like I said earlier, this is Yahoo Finance, which they aggregate all kinds of news articles. This one is actually by MoneyWise, Laura Boast. All right. She begins with a premise here, okay? Think about all the people whose job titles contain the word agent, okay? Travel agents, insurance agents, real estate agents, the list goes on. But a growing number of Americans are replacing those agents with agentic AI to save time and money. Now, what a bold statement, right? You've already set the premise that this is happening, but you're not telling the entire story because this is the interesting thing. I actually read a whole article about travel agents in general. And if you really want to get into the weeds and go back into history, you can do this. And you can look at Zillow, okay? You can take Zillow, for instance. Zillow was the catalyst. The people that started Zillow are the ones that started the revolution of not needing travel agents. And that was like, I can't remember the company. Was it Expedia or something like that began to pull information together and create these packages you can buy on vacation and that kind of stuff. And then the travel agent industry kind of tanked for a while. But here's the thing. Travel agents have come back, and they've come back with a little bit of a vengeance. They're still using all the tools out there. They redefine their value, but they're very valuable because they understand the nuances of what people want. So when you sit down with a travel agent, you're talking about what you like, what you dislike, and all these kind of things. AI cannot get into the psychology of man. It can give you facts and data, but it cannot meet you and explain things in intricate detail on the emotional level. And travel agents can. So they've come back. Like, you're starting to see them rise up to the forefront of just being very relevant in some ways. In a lot of cases, are worth more than they ever have been. Because why? Because the information that is readily available to everybody is so overwhelming that people begin to go back to find just the advisor that has done this for many years and says they know what they're doing and they can help us structure this better. Even though AI is streamlining some of these things, it's still, every time I put a prompt in AI, I get a slightly different answer. How do I know which one is the best answer, right? I have no one to objectively tell me kind of from experience. I have just something that is just, I'm getting a notification here. Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Hey, Kevin, now that you're here, let me know in the comments if the signal's coming through. I just got a notification that it wasn't, so just let me know. Good to have you, my friend. Hope you had a good weekend. Anyway, you get the idea. They set the premise. In the case of real estate savings, savings may be substantial. Remove commissions from transactions, and you could be saving tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't continue, but you could also be losing that amount of money and the complexities of real estate transactions. I mean, if I was just to pause here and say, if this was a most basic transaction where you've got a super high qualified, experienced buyer and you have a experienced seller that has done this before and they are financially secure and have a lot of money and they have equity and all this kind of stuff, you can hear me. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that, my friend. Appreciate that. So when you have these two things that are perfect, okay, well, in a perfect world, it's probably very easy to navigate that. Humans aren't perfect. Humans are very complex, emotionally driven creatures. And it gets so difficult. The moment you put in one slight little kink, let's just say the most extreme cases in our industry that causes the most grief is divorces. Like, they are the most complicated to navigate. So it's just, again, not the story. It's not the story. Must read, the verdict from home sellers Stuart Thompson and Robert Levine, who both used AI. Now, that Robert Levine is the other story that was pretty much debunked. I got to be honest. Like, if you go back and you type in Robert Levine sells home by AI, you're going to find out a lot of other information there that was just not the whole truth there. Okay. And I truly feel like Stuart Thompson, that's going to happen as well. And they kind of had these nuances anyway. Who both used AI to sell their homes for over asking within days of listing, is that it's a great way to go. This is not entirely true. Again, not true. I'm persuaded that AI may well transform real estate agents into something more like travel agents. See, there's an element of change, yeah, but if this is the case, travel agents are actually beginning to make more money. They're actually becoming more relevant now because of all the noise. Stuart Thompson wrote in a first-person account for the New York Times, once essential to navigate an opaque process, they could soon become more of a nice-to-have for busy people who want a more carefree experience. Nope. That's just not true. Naturally, many real estate agents aren't happy about the trend. Some question how much time is saved. Others warn of the legal risks, administrative errors, and leaving money on the table. These are all valid, guys, and they're going to try to kind of downplay this a little bit. But I've been doing this for 20 years. I can tell you right now that any prompt you put in AI is just not going to be able to connect with the human emotion. Here's the thing. You can take all the data in the world, and it will never be able to predict the irrational behavior of man under high stress conditions. Okay? It's not going to be able to do it. Because what somebody needs in a high irrational emotional position is empathy, comfort, right? They need somebody that's going to be able to pat them on the back, shake their hand, look them in the eyes, build their confidence from experience, educate them on what's actually going on from experience, and having this dialogue so they can vet their emotions and these type of things, right? Like, it's authentic. It's authentic. AI is just data, guys. It's just data. You're just not going to be able to replace the human element. Here's a look at the debate and the pros and cons of using AI to sell a home. $90,000 netted. Thompson is a tech reporter for the New York Times. So when he and his wife decided to sell their Hudson Valley home, he suggested they work with AI instead of a real estate agent. Originally, the couple estimated they could get roughly $550,000 for their home, purely based on Zillow listings. I'm sorry. Oh, man. And after speaking to a few agents, that was the consensus. See, it's just so nuanced. But Thompson was underwhelmed and didn't like the idea of handing over 3% sales commission up to $30,000 more to them. He wanted to see what AI could do. Just trust me, he told his wife, admitting that deep down, he wasn't sure if the AI experiment would work. See how this is like a narrative? It only lasted a few days because it was a resounding success. Resounding. What a great adjective. Thompson used Google's Gemini to craft a listing, find a photographer, and stage his home. It guided him through the steps of posting his listing to the MLS. Really? Posting to the MLS? How do you do that without a real estate agent? I find that interesting. I'd like to know more about that detail. How'd that happen? Within 24 hours, the couple had booked a weekend of showings. Soon after, they received 3 offers, all over asking. Oh my gosh. This has nothing to do with him having a real estate agent or not having a real estate agent. The buyers are going to look for a home. If you got a lot of showings and then you got above asking price, you priced really low, so you just were very competitive in the market. You just got a lot of activity. It has nothing to do with like not using an agent or not, right? Soon after, they received 3 offers, all over asking. AI even advised on which offer to accept. Yeah, I can get into a whole topic about that. We'll probably talk about this a little bit later. The same one Thompson and his wife planned to sign back. It wasn't the highest bid, but it was a sure thing and over $600,000. Okay, again, sure thing. No, nothing's a sure thing. It worked out this time. It worked out this time. Thompson paid a lawyer to take care of the paperwork. Even with that expense, we have no idea what that expense is, I will add. None whatsoever. He and his wife cleared $90,000 on the sale of their home, and the buyers agreed to pay their own agent the 2% buyer's commission, saving Thompson $36,000 in fees. This is just a complete lack of understanding the math of real estate transactions. Okay, so first of all, we don't know the cost of the lawyer. Okay, so that's not even equated here. We're assuming that what they're telling us is the whole entire truth. Okay, we have no way to quantify if the $90,000 on their home and the price that they got could have not been happened by another real estate agent either. We have no idea. Matter of fact, if you go back, the agents themselves were apparently suggesting the exact same price to list this home. So they would have probably had the same amount of buyer traffic. If not, they might have even had more. You can make the other opposing argument and say, well, yeah, but if you would have put it in the hands of a real estate agent, they could have mass marketed it and maybe you would have had double the showings and triple the offers. Like, again, hypothetical, because we don't have all the facts. We have no idea really if this is true or not, right? We don't have all the information. But then the other side of this, that is, again, how this is just one case of like everything being perfect under what they're telling us, but is just not seen in the real world. The whole idea that on the seller, the buyers agreed to pay their own agent the 2% buyer's commission. Guys, like, we have no way of knowing this. And in my experience too, most buyers, they have to sign buyer rep agreements anyway on what they're going to pay their agent. And then what ends up happening 9 times out of 10, if not 99.9% of all offers that we see, is the buyer asks the seller to pay for that commission. Now, in this scenario, they didn't. But that's probably because they just negotiated the price down and they could cover it, which that happens too in real estate. This is nothing new. This is not a shock. This is just the way it works. It's just a line item. Like when you have a transaction and you're trying to buy a house, the buyer has only a certain amount of money and that's all they can bring to the table. If the price is going to be higher, the closing costs are higher, they got to negotiate certain fees inside of the contract to be able to buy the home. In this case, this buyer obviously had enough cash. So again, it doesn't really say anything about AI doing anything. This is just circumstantial at best. I mean, this happens all the time. Robert Levine and his wife were just as happy when they used ChatGPT instead of a real estate agent to help them sell their home in Cooper City, Florida. Yeah, there's a whole story there, guys. You should hear what the other realtor had to say about how much work she had to do for this. Like, and most agents wouldn't have done all the work that they needed to do for Robert Levine. All right. They would have absolutely said, look, go figure it out. I mean, the agent that he was fortunate to get the agent that he got. That's what happened there. He got a very good agent that had a buyer that the agent cared about their buyer more than they cared about Robert. That's what happened there. And there's a whole story behind that. And then this is where it gets kind of good. Like Thompson, Levine is technologically savvy. There's a big key, right? You got to be technology savvy. He's the CEO of a company that teaches firms how to use AI. That's just so funny to me. I'm sorry. There's the bias. There's the bias, right? He's in the AI industry. He's got to validate this. And like Thompson, he was unimpressed with real estate agents' price estimates. But again, Thompson said that their price estimates were the same. Isn't that what they said? It says, and after speaking to a few agents, that was their consensus. They refuted themselves in their own article. I just think it's funny. Oh, man. Let's see. Where was I? This is why you have to take your time and kind of read. It's like, it's just not the whole story. All right. As he shared with Fortune, what started as a few casual chat GPT prompts about selling their home turned into a full-on consultation, yielding advice on staging and when to show the home. They had 15 showings and 5 offers, selling their home for nearly $1 million, $100,000 more than agents told them they could in just 5 days. Like Thompson, Levine opted to use a lawyer to handle the paperwork. Yeah, and the other real estate agent. Gosh, read the whole thing, man. Using AI to sell a home isn't all smooth sailing. This is where it's like, yep, here we go, right? Thank you. Thompson and Levine admit there were challenges using AI instead of a real estate agent. Thank you. There are some things a virtual assistant can't do, like show prospective buyers a home. Think about this. All those showings, who showed the house? Oh, they did. They had to be there, right? It can't paint, can't move furniture. It also cannot advise on what the local person is actually looking for in a home. It can't listen when people are walking through the house and gather feedback that helps you get the home staged and ready to sell. It can't do that, guys. So if your home is priced well and you got enough equity to do that, great, easy selling. But when you actually have to market your home and get things correct because it's a very competitive market, and then AI doesn't have access to what the common consumer is saying about the home because it's telling it to a specific person that is not going in, entering in, well, my buyer said this about the property. Here, AI, use this to make, assessments of pricing and what the home needs to look like. It doesn't have that information, guys. There are some things a virtual assistant can't do, like, so paint, move furniture, or call buyer's agents. All that work falls into the lap of a DIY seller. That's a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. This is where you get into the time. And then when you start really talking about negotiations and what all that looks like, that's even more complicated. In comments on Thompson's New York Times article, one reader questioned how much time he really saved. You did all the legwork, calling, staging, the reader wrote. It sounds like a lot. How many hours did it add up to, and how much would that time be worth at your normal rate of pay? What a great question. Thompson added that there were times he needed emotional support during the nerve-wracking sales process, a big part of a real estate agent's job. Yes. Amen, right? Disturbingly, AI agents can make mistakes. There's another big one. They can, and they often do. For example, Thompson noted that Gemini originally gave him the wrong advice on paying the buyer's agent a commission. So, it's not really wrong advice, though. Like, this... Here's the thing, is like, if a buyer doesn't have the actual cash to buy your home, then they can't buy your home. Even though they might have a loan, they just don't have the liquid cash to be able to pay their agent the commission that they're owed. So a seller has a very easy response to this. They say, we'll pay it. And then they just counter a purchase price to warrant that. That's as simple as it is. It doesn't mean that it's actually coming out of the seller's pocket. The seller has the ability to negotiate the purchase price. Simple math, right? Let's just say this scenario is, you want to sell your house for $200,000 and there's a 3% buyer's fee on there. Well, if the buyer doesn't have the money to pay that 3%, what does the seller need to do to pay that? Just go up 3% on the purchase price and then just say, here, we'll pay your agent. Did the seller lose any actual money? No. You can make the argument and say, well, the purchase price was this and I had to pay XYZ in commissions. So then it cost me XYZ to sell it. Did it? It's just a line item, guys. Like, you as a seller know what your equity is going to be. You have the ability to then negotiate that price, which then encompasses whatever fees are associated to that. So you technically could net the exact same amount. And then everybody gets represented and protected. Like, it's just the way these things kind of work. So anyway, let's see. Meanwhile, Ines Aguidas Garcia raised concerns about Levine's sale, which she knew about as managing partner of Avanti Way East Miami, the realty where the buyer's agent works. Aguidas Garcia told Realtor.com that Levine could have made more money. This is the other side of Levine's story. More money with an agent, arguing that a realtor would have negotiated a better deal in the bidding war. She added that Levine was clearly relying on ChatGPT during negotiations, and his queries exposed AI's legal and practical shortcomings. Quote, he would run it by ChatGPT, come back to her, okay, their agent, and say, how about this? She said, and the buyer's agent is like, no, that doesn't apply in Florida. Still, Levine pocketed $28,000 in savings on commissions. He has no regrets about using AI in the process and encourages others to do the same. Yeah, still rooted in his own opinions about this. There's no way to say, there's absolutely no way to quantify that he actually made $28,000 more. There is no way to do that. Because you don't have the opposing scenario. Every home is different. Yeah, to be able to make that argument, you would need to have two homes side by side in the exact same location with all the exact same features, everything exactly the same, the exact same buyers buying both homes, to then say, here's the realtor list this one, and I didn't list this one, and then I made $28,000. You'd have to have the perfect exact scenario because real estate has all these little nuances in there. There's no way to quantify that he actually saved anything at all. That doesn't work. And now, obviously, I'm coming from a biased position, but I'm also thinking about this logically. It's like when you try to do numbers like this, and you try to make an opinion to say this is the way it works, you have to match apples to apples. Like, you have to do that. There is no way to do that in real estate because every property is different. He could have had just a gold mine on his hand and he knew it. We don't know, right? We have no way to know this. I'd recommend it to everyone. Why? Because you got lucky because you had this agent that was willing to just help you every time you called them and asked them questions? Because you had an attorney friend that knew how to help you and you probably saved money through them? Well, most people might not have that kind of connection, right? And because you have experience with AI and you're tech savvy and you know how to navigate AI and not just listen to everything that it says, even though when it's wrong, you then are okay with recommending this to everyone? Do you not see how reckless that kind of statement is? Like, what about a first-time home buyer that has never bought a car in their lives and are trying to buy some real estate? Would you recommend this to them? Do you think that they could get the right advice, the right hand-holding to protect their interest fully just to save a few $1,000s? And then buy something that has all kinds of problems and end up getting involved in major repair situations, right? Like, you still would recommend that? I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. No way, not a chance. ChatGPT is not coding. It is a conversation. And you're going to have what conversation with a real estate professional if you want to go that direction anyway. Yeah. You get the idea here. It's like, these type of things happen anytime there's like this weird shift going on in any kind of industry. And like AI is like trying to disrupt everything, but it's getting so obvious when people are using AI. Like, just go on YouTube right now and go watch some videos and tell me if you cannot just immediately spot AI. Like, it is not hard to do. I mean, music alone is so noticeable that it's AI generated. You can tell. And it's becoming a big trend when graphics are nothing but AI. The younger generation looking at this, that's just AI, and they throw it away. They don't want it on T-shirts. They don't want it on mugs. They don't want to buy materials made by AI. Like, the surge in the novelty of AI, where you can create cool looking images and all these type of stuff, is fading because it's just not genuine. And what people are now craving more than ever is just genuine human interaction. So AI has use cases. It does. It can streamline a lot of the behind the scenes administrative type work. That kind of stuff's great. Responding to redundant emails and, facilitating some of that filing and working through some of those type of things, helping you be a little bit creative and thinking through some things, like asking it some questions to get you thinking critically. You can do that. It has access to data. I mean, great use cases. But to say that AI can replace the human interaction is just going too far. Even once AI has all these great bells and whistles, and maybe they have artificial generations of people, and they're just so perfect, and they just feel like you're talking to a real person. The reality is, humans are still going to want to congregate. They're still going to want to talk. They're still going to want to be able to feel the touch of an actual human. I mean, it's just absurdity. And if they don't, then there's a bigger issue going on that's got to be addressed, right? If somebody is falling away from desiring actual human interaction, this is setting us up to have some major psychological problems, okay? Like, we can't go down this road. It is not for everybody, Mr. Levine. I'm sorry. It's not. And that's reckless to suggest otherwise. It really is. It can cause a lot of harm. So, with that being said, let's go into I'm going to do a rapid fire on this, and we'll wrap this one up because I've already been talking. I think the whole show has just been this whole AI thing, which is fine. I'll do the other ones tomorrow or something. 11 reasons why AI won't replace realtors. AI can streamline tasks, but it can't replace human judgment, local expertise, and emotional intelligence that drive successful real estate deals. That's what we've been talking about. It cannot do this. It cannot replace that human judgment, local expertise, and that emotional intelligence that is part of the deal. So following up on this hype, this is Florida realtors, okay? To be honest, I won't go as far as to say I wouldn't call it like the definitive breakdown, but it is really close. And they give you 11 core reasons why artificial intelligence, AI, cannot replace the human element of a real estate transaction. It can't do it. So let's just quickly burn through these, okay? Provide psychological insights. The ability to read body language and understand what buyers or sellers aren't saying is important to successful transactions. You read their facial expressions, their eyes, their interaction between each other, right? These are all things that agents are monitoring. Good agents are paying attention to this and navigating it accordingly. 2, generate confidence and trust. It can't sit down in front of you and say, look, I've been here before. This is what I went through. This is how this happened. This is what happened. This is what this did, or whatever. And then tell you from experience. It won't do that. It'll just give you data points. And a lot of times it leaves you more confused. Number 3, recognize the feelings generated by a home. If you only relied on data, you would never find a home. You would only buy houses. Okay? There is a difference. A house is just a building that has bedrooms, kitchens, and a bathroom. Okay? A home is where you see yourself functioning and living, where you see yourself congregating, having people over and fellowshipping and building relationships, right? And when you go in physically into a home and the agent's paying attention and you're talking about the way things set up and the way things work and what this might look like, and you give the agent information about how you want to use your future home. The good agent is sitting there listening, taking that information and thinking of the next home that does have the things you're looking for. When you go back home and you start sitting down in front of a computer, you will not type in all those little nuances. You're just going to type in how many bedrooms you want, what kind of location, what kind of park, whatever, it's not paying attention to how you want a home. It's not going to do it. Provide local knowledge, right? Facts, figures, all kind of stuff is helpful. But what about if you're asking like, hey, what is a good veterinarian in town, right? And you can recommend somebody because you had personal experience with the actual interaction. It's not about the online reviews. It's not about the services and the cost and what all they do as a company, which is what AI can tell you. No, it's about, you know what? They might be a little bit more expensive, but let me tell you something about so-and-so. When I go in there, I can tell they care. I can tell that they want to know more about me. They want to know about my pet or whatever, using a veterinarian as an example. That local knowledge, like what are the best restaurants? Not because they maybe have the best food, but they're good food, but they're also just great service and customer oriented, right? It doesn't know. Give emotional support. Oh yeah, this is a big one. when you start really getting into major nuances of real estate that are not perfect, like these other guys we're talking about, where it just seems to be like this diamond in the rough type situation. Let's just use estate planning, divorces, death, these type of really, really emotionally driven real estate transactions. Yeah, AI cannot meet the people where they are. Can't do it. Just going to be a bunch of facts and information. Create connections. It doesn't listen and then bridge the gap and then introduce and bring people together. It doesn't do that. Understand motivations. It can't even understand why you're asking for 4 bedrooms. It can make all kinds of assumptions, and you could probably tell it, but you got to think to tell it. But an agent, when you're sitting there talking, is going to be asking you follow-up questions and engaging with you, finding out more information. Number 8, be accountable. Since AI is simply a tool, unlike real estate agents, there's nothing that impacts it if the outcome for a buyer or seller isn't what they hoped for, right? There's no accountability there. AI doesn't owe you anything at all. It doesn't care. It won't try to make it right. It won't try to fix the problem. If it advised you wrong and you end up getting, hammered for losing money or whatever, or you get into legal trouble because it advised you wrong, 0 consequences and 0 accountability on AI's part. 0. It's all on you. Number 9, deliver direct advice, what I call AI breath. When you know something is written by AI and not a person is often a symptom of the fact that AI is taught to be naturally neutral, right? If you look at your prompts, it's just kind of trying to stay neutral. It doesn't really give you direct advice because it knows who you are. It's just a neutral answer. Number 10, interpret data. It can't do it. It doesn't know all the nuances and the laws and that kind of stuff. It doesn't have everything. Consumers often focus on the data that AI can provide, but they lack the understanding of what it means. They can't interpret all that data. They're not reading the data on why the law is the way it is, why you have contracts the way they are, why the words in that contract are what they are. When you ask it a prompt to clarify, it just gives you more legal jargon. It gets more confusing. It's just more data. And number 11, strategize based on experience. Real estate agents can offer suggestions to clients to resolve their concerns. For example, if a seller may start missing payments, the agent can counsel them with options such as leasing the house before they run their credit, whatever. They can also bring in somebody. I mean, there's just so many different scenarios here. You get the idea, though. It's like to advise somebody that everybody should do this and that it's actually going to replace agents. It's absurdity. That you could, and to make any kind of comparison between a real estate agent and insurance agent or travel agent is just even more absurd. They're completely different industries with completely different complexities that make these things work. And one of the things that make it very difficult for AI to replace a real estate agent is that most people only sell and buy real estate once or twice their entire lives. They don't know it. They don't understand it. And then you're going to heap up onto them trusting in some kind of AI. You recommend that everybody should do it this way, knowing all the pitfalls, right? No, my advice would be go talk to a professional real estate agent. They're worth the money. They're worth the money, period. They're worth the money. They're going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars in the long haul. They're going to build you connections. They are connection makers. They are relationally focused, right? So yeah, there you go. Soapbox, stepping down now. We'll switch, and I'm going to burn through, let's see how many more I want to do here. Yeah, okay. So let's do make the most of summer, seller prep playbook raise. Yeah, I'm going to skip over that one. I'm going to go straight to another article here. We're going to go through this one, and then I'll touch on one more, and we'll wrap it up. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, this one right here. Yeah. Okay. This is by Inman. It's got Jimmy Burgess. He does all kinds of. He's a coach, real estate coach, and that kind of stuff. And he's active on Inman. They write all kinds of stuff. Domino, good morning to you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it greatly. I always catch the end of your stream. Yeah, you do. That's okay. I started a little early. I don't know if you're a morning person or not, but it lives on. You can go back and watch it. Engage with me on the comments if you have any questions as you watch it. That's great. Thank you for being here, though, regardless of what time you show up. Thank you. I appreciate it for you coming back. Your timing's good because we're getting ready to jump into another article here. This one here it says how this agent grew her business 74% year over year, spending next to nothing. Now, the reason why this article to me I wanted to get to today is because it talks a lot about what I teach agents. It talks a lot about how to truly grow a real estate business. It really is the focus. Now, I will say this, it's not the only way to build a real estate business. But if you're new or even experienced and feeling like you're like in a slump and you kind of want to build your business, or if you are a successful agent that kind of does the roller coaster ride, it's like I prospect and I make all kinds of money and then I drop back down. Reframing our minds and thinking through like how to keep ourselves in front of people and the importance of relationships and those type of things. That's where this article leans into. And I agree with a lot that's in this as far as just the basic idea of how to build a real estate business. Okay. And this is kind of like a case study in some ways, if you will, where Jimmy Burgess is talking to another agent and how she has gotten 74% year over year growth while trying to keep her marketing dollars as close to zero as possible. Okay. And here's the thing, if you could accomplish something like this, every money saved is money earned. So your 1099 that you make, the final payment you get at the end of the year is actually your income. It's better. So if you can reduce your amount of marketing dollars while maintaining growth, that's something, even if it's a slower growth, guys, it is the way to build a business. Because when the market does shift, you've built something that is tangible by you. It's not dependent on any other marketing platform out there. It's not dependent upon social media or anything. It's dependent upon the relationships that you built. And that's where I always encourage agents to start. All right. And if you are relying on expensive advertising, keep in mind, you are only one change from losing that business. And you can look back in history and you can look and you can test me on this. Is those that started using Zillow 5 years ago, tell me what the plan was 5 years ago to what it is now, right? And how it all operates. And let me tell you, it is nothing like it was 5 years ago, right? It's always changing. Any of those platforms can change one thing and your entire business completely changes with it. It's a fictitious way to make yourself feel like you're doing really good, paying a whole lot of money, but in reality, you're dependent upon another platform to keep making you that money. And then what you don't realize is you're a slave to that model and you need to step away from that model. There's a reason like these influencers and stuff don't rely on just YouTube income, right? They rely on the other sources of income. They don't build their entire platforms relying upon ad revenue from YouTube. They do it from recommendations and sponsorships and all those type of things. There's a reason. Because now they're going out and they're securing their own business to make their living, not relying upon YouTube. And why is that? Because if all they did was rely on YouTube's ad revenue, all it takes is YouTube to change the way that money is distributed or the way the percentage is allocated, and your entire business goes up with it. It's no different if you're an agent that's relying on all this expensive advertising to build your business and not focus on relationships. That's the reality. So this article is talking about that thing more importantly. So anyway, I talked about that a lot, but let's go ahead and jump into this. It says how this agent grew her business 74% year over year, spending next to nothing. Take a peek inside Rachel Kilmer's relationship marketing playbook. Okay. When most agents think about growth, they go straight to lead generation. But one of the most overlooked opportunities for sustainable long-term growth isn't finding new people. It's taking better care of the people you already know. 100%. You can summarize this as your sphere of influence, SOI, okay? SOI, CRMs, keeping it all together, all your contacts in one place. That's how you build a business. Rachel Kilmer is a Kansas City agent who averaged 74% year over year growth during her first 5 years in real estate. While many people look at her social media presence and assume that's the primary reason for her success, Kilmer is quick to redirect the credit. The foundation of her business isn't social media, it's relationships. Social media is an outpouring of those relationships, guys. That's what it is. More specifically, it's consistent commitment to showing appreciation to the people who have supported her business through thoughtful gifts delivered via pop buys to stay top of mind, okay? So what is she saying here? It's very simple. She is focused on building the relationship and appreciating those that have used her or that know her or that trust her. And she shows the appreciation consistently to them. If you really want to dumb this industry down to two things, it's relationship referral focused. Relationships and referrals. You are focused on the person. You want to appreciate every single soul that uses you, calls you, and trusts you. And then, because if they do, they will refer more people to you, which gives you the opportunity to appreciate more people. It's compound interest in its finest, okay? It started before she ever closed a deal. From the beginning of her career, even before she was successful, Kilmer invested in relationships. Before she had even closed her first transaction, she purchased miniature bundt cakes from a local bakery, packaged them with a bow and a business card, and personally delivered them to approximately 80 people she knew. Now, what did she do here? And if you look at the list, she made a list of people that she knew and she delivered those bundt cakes to, right? Friends, family, parents of her children's friends, anyone she believed might support her new career, okay? She went and wrote a list. That's where she started. If you've not done that, do it. It's the easiest thing you could ever do to start your career. She understood something many agents miss. Relationships are built long before they're needed. Relationships are built long before they're needed. See, you think that you make a contact with somebody, take them out to coffee, and you should immediately start getting business. It's not how it works. It takes time, right? So you're building that relationship, and then when that person needs you or hears somebody else that needs you, they recommend you or they use you. Now you're needed. But she focused on the relationship first, okay? Very key. That simple gesture became the first step in a strategy that continues to drive her business today. Okay, marketing in real life. One of my favorite concepts she shared is what she calls marketing IRL, okay, which is in real life, okay? Marketing in real life. Today, she plans her entire year of client events, pop buys, and relationship touches months before the year begins. She's already she's getting a calendar out. She's planning this out, okay? She knows what she's going to do when. She makes her plan. This is what she's going to do. Use a paper calendar, color-coded system, all those type of things. And she maps out the client appreciation events, the pop buys she's going to do with other people, and then communication opportunities to ensure she's consistently staying in touch without overwhelming people, okay? Her goal isn't constant promotion. She's not going around. This is a key. She's not going around posting everything she's ever done on social media and promote, okay? You can build a business that way, but it's a fictitious one, and eventually people get annoyed and they quit using you. She was consistently showing up, giving her presence to people that she wanted to build a relationship with. Her focus was relationship driven. She wants there to be no month where clients receive nothing from her. That's an important distinction. Many agents communicate only when they need something. The most successful relationship marketers communicate because they genuinely want to provide value and stay connected. The surprising number every agent should know. One of the most interesting parts of our conversation centered around investment. Many agents wonder how much they should spend on client appreciation. Over the years, she spent approximately 7% of her gross commission income on client events, pop-ups, and relationship marketing. Okay, there's a first metric for you guys to think about, okay? 7%. That's her target, okay? So she's going to be spending 7% of her commission earned on customer appreciation. You might not have a huge pool of finances to just do 7%. So you got to be a little more creative there, okay? Now, she's going to give some practical ideas for some pop buys that make it very simple, okay? And these can be very cheap. Kilmer shared 3 pop buy ideas she's done and that agents can implement regardless of their budget. 4th of July celebration kits. 4th of July is coming up, guys. So here's an opportunity. Here's something you guys can take right now and run with this. One of our favorite summer pop buys include mini American flags. So she just donates those out. Freeze pops, hands those out. Sparklers, a branded lighter, flashlight, or sunscreen item, and a personalized note. These can be packaged together in red, white, and blue bags or branded bags, depending on your budget. The total cost can be less than a few dollars per household. But the impact is significant because it arrives at a time when people are feeling patriotic and less overwhelmed than they often are during the holidays. Think about that. That's not expensive. And if you spent your time building your sphere of influence and putting those lists together, go out and hand these things out to that sphere of influence. What an easy touch. Mother's Day mimosa kits, mini orange juice bottles, mini champagne bottles, sparkling grape juice, personalized notes. These are just touches that she's doing. Team spirit baskets. Her football team themed pop buys have included team-colored pom-poms, schedule magnets, small branded footballs, personalized notes. The lesson extends far beyond football. Every market has something people rally around. So think about your own local market and how this relates to what you do. Professional sports teams, college athletics, local traditions, community events, etc. Why this works? At its core, Kimler's strategy isn't really about gifts. It's about thoughtfulness. Most people don't remember the dollar value of what you gave them. They remember how you made them feel. It has nothing to do with those items, guys. Nothing. But you made them feel appreciated, right? It's like, wow, she thought of me and she gave me this basket and she just wants to stay in touch. This is nice. In an industry where consumers are constantly being marketed to, appreciation stands out. Amen. When clients feel celebrated rather than sold to, relationships deepen. When relationships deepen, referrals increase. When referrals increase, business grows. That's exactly what Rachel Kimler's story demonstrates. Many agents are searching for the next lead generation tactic, social media trend, or AI tool that will transform their business. Those things certainly have value, very little in my opinion, guys, because you just fall into the mix of all the other noise of everybody else. But sometimes the greatest growth opportunity is much simpler. Reach out, show appreciation, celebrate people. I mean, it's just not that complicated. You know, I'm asked, I'm not kidding, probably daily by new agents, what should I do to get started? I default almost every single time to these type of things. It's like relationship. You need to be serving in your community and giving back and building your sphere of influence and thinking about who the people are that would recommend you and staying in front of them. It's a slow go, yeah, but it's the long play. And if you can get really good at that, that conversion is great. The relationships you will foster because of it is excellent. You will have friends for the rest of your life by doing this. And that has an extreme amount of value. I have friends right now that I sold property to from 20 years ago when I started in real estate, right? I mean, what a blessing that is. It's amazing. I had a very small part in fulfilling the American dream for somebody. And because of that, they valued me as a relationship. And then I valued them because I got to participate in that. And we formed a relationship because of it. There are people I go to church with now that bought a house from years ago that now we go to church together and we fellowship together and we do things together. And it's just fascinating to me how rewarding this industry is when you think about it in a relational way. If this is the way you process this, you will never, my dog's going crazy. You'll never really feel like you're working a day in your life. You will always appreciate what you do and the value that you get to give. So anyway, there's live stream for you. My dog's going crazy. Who knows why? All right. That's it for today, guys. It's 8:30 or 9:36 Eastern time. I got to jump on another meeting. So I already went over. I'll probably push a little bit of these news articles until tomorrow, just to kind of touch base. But we did pretty good. I'm good with this. I'm good with where we got to. I hope everybody did get something of value. That is always my goal. So again, thank you guys. I don't take it for granted that you guys take time out of your schedule to come here and listen to me talk and ramble and talk about my opinion, that kind of stuff. I greatly appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. If I can ever be of assistance with you all, feel free to reach out anytime. Shoot me a DM, comments, whatever. Love to be there for you. Love to champion you on. Love to give you some advice. Free, nothing, no strings attached whatsoever, guys. I appreciate you guys greatly. Have a good rest of your day. Start to your Monday. I will not be live streaming tomorrow. I've got a company event I got to go to, but I'll be back Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time where you're watching me now. All right. With all that being said, that is your real estate brief for today. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button to tell YouTube you would like to see more of this type of content, and consider subscribing and follow me on TikTok and everywhere else to join a community of real estate agents that are focused on building a business that is relationship focused first. There is more I could be talking about because I like to talk, but that's what we will do on Wednesday. Until then, I'll see you there. Have a great day. Be blessed and take care.